Welcome to the Hideaway Hills Management Meeting as of November 24, 2020. Short reminder that COVID is still continuing to spike. We remind people while you're in Hideaway, please just practice social distancing. Be cognizant of gatherings and stuff, and be respectful of your neighbors and wear a mask. We're asking everyone coming into the clubhouse, the lodge, the office, security, or dealing with security. We ask you to wear a mask. Protects your neighbors. So, with that being said, we have no invited guests tonight. So, Randy, do you want to walk us through the numbers?
Yeah, I do want to add something to that. What you just said, Jim. I had a member call today and asked and request that we put out an e-blast that said people ought to wear their masks going into the mail rooms because they're not doing that. So I don't know if you want to put something out that refers to that or not, or if they can just pick it up off this meeting.
I don't have a problem with it. I'm happy that as we really started cracking down on the clubhouse and that stuff. Maybe we could just put a sign up on the post office doors that says, mask required. Just that in general, when you enter a building in Hideaway Hills, please put a mask on. Okay,
we'll do that. Okay, numbers. Capital fund total, $265,194. Depreciation fund total, $243,047. Delinquencies as of October 15th was $22,873. As of this month, though, the 16th, they were $24,420. However, about 2,000 of that was 30 days, which typically we don't put that in there, but that was the total. So that was about $2,000. So it hasn't raised any since last month. Road delinquencies as of October is $3,200, and they're down this month to $2,400. Special assessment account, Popular Bank, we have $101,560, and the dam repair checking, we have $140,740 for a total of $242,300.
Thank you. All right. Since this is the second meeting in the month, I did send everyone a copy of the operating analysis year-to-date through October. I just wanted to note, our revenue for the 10 months is $205,000 above our budget, which is great. About 44 or 5 of that is due to assessment increase kicking in September. A bigger chunk of that is about $140,000 of new member fees that actually go into the operating fund of the club. Our new member fees this year have been outstanding. I will take that every day. That's helped us pay down not only our operations, it's also helped us make some extra payments on the dam assessment loan and get that whittled down quite a bit. I also want to note that it seems like our health insurance, $25,000 under budget. I believe for payroll taxes, that's our health insurance is buried in there. So it looks like our experience has been better.
Yes.
Better than what we had planned. So all in, we had budgeted through 10 months to make almost $300,000 in operating income. We're actually about $550,000. So the net result of that is, if you look at the fund transfer sheet that I sent everyone, or Randy sent out, sorry, I forwarded on to Linda, but at our high worst point of funding these amenities, capital and depreciation accounts, we were about $260 in the hole when we had to make the terrible decision to shut down the lodge and make some drastic cuts. As of current, we're at 128. So I think that's a huge improvement. We're definitely going in the right direction. Again, I thank the membership for approving the assessment increase, and helping us understand that the lot, we had to make some desperate changes back in the spring or winter. So, any questions on both the operating analysis and the fund transfers?
I'm good.
Nope. Good.
I hope we can keep this going and get back in the black. All right, closing some things out here. Next thing I did want to point out on the financials that Penny had sent out to you. If you look on, you just make a note. You don't really have to look at them, but the clubhouse actually showed a minus $5,000 loss for the month, which is, and the lodge actually showed a minus $1,200 for the month. What happened is, on the clubhouse, we had $4,000 of waste, and the lodge had about $1,200, I believe, in waste. And what that was is just going through, going $2,000 on the lodge, going through and getting rid of some food that we had still here, getting rid of, fire selling some beers off. We had still sitting around some of them for $1. So we ended up getting rid of some stuff that just wasn't sellable. So I do want to point that out, that if you look at the lodge P&L, it shows a minus $1,200, but $2,000 of that is just due to getting rid of some wasted product that is behind us.
Jim, was that the loss of beer also?
I think there was some loss of some beer, loss of some food.
I mean, the draft that we lost.
This was all in October, so I don't think it's a loss. That was back.
Yeah.
I think in the spring.
Okay.
I think it was Mayish. So I don't think it was that. I think it just had to do with throwing out some food.
Okay.
That we just didn't feel comfortable using anymore.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions on that? All right. News and notes, Randy.
Well, we finally found us another part-time security guard, Al Toreno. You might want to stop down and say hi to him. Interesting enough, he's got a very full beard, which I had a little bit of an issue with, but he plays Santa Claus every year. So I said, okay. He said he would trim that once the Christmas season was over. But he's just here part-time to help Roger out. And so he will probably be working some extra hours simply because we lost a guard, Cody Carroll. He quit just all of a sudden with no notice. So we had taken the full-time ad down. Now it's back out there again. I have it in both counties and on Indeed. So we've already got 2 applications. One guy we interviewed and he didn't think he was going to work out. We've got another one here that we'll probably interview first of next week. But we're still looking for another full-time security guard.
Okay. Anybody got any questions about that? All right. Fairway mower.
Well, we limped along last year, and Elmer was able to keep it running. At one time, both fairway mowers were down, but we was able to survive. We're really going to need to get one this year.
So is this the fairway mower? Is this what we had planned to buy last year and we kind of pulled back?
Yeah, it is.
It was. I think we had prices for around 56 to 58,000.
Probably, yeah. I haven't got new pricing yet, but yeah, we'll need to do that.
Okay.
But now's the time to get them before everybody else picks them up.
Yeah. 2 things to note. I think at the next meeting, we need to re-look at the depreciation schedule.
Yeah.
Reprioritize, and that definitely it was on the priority. It was priority 1 last year. We pulled back and didn't basically spend that. And we need to relook at the depreciation schedule and prioritize what we want to actually spend in 2021. But I would say go out and get some pricing so we can make a decision and send that to the board for approval if we can come to agreement on pricing. And we've kicked it back about 3 years now, just for everyone's reference.
Okay. Yeah.
Anybody got any comments on that? It's a expensive mower, but yeah, hold on, dear. They're about 60 grand. So
Yeah.
yeah, ouch. But yeah, I know for a fact we've kicked this back about 3 years, so it's probably time to pull the trigger. But we need to get some bid. We're getting to get some pricing.
Will do.
Okay. So I guess we're moving on to discussion items.
Roads expense, $100,143. Chip and seal account, $57,054. Chip and seal expense for the year, $157,640. That's year to date.
Okay. So they're probably done with asphalt.
Actually, they got some yesterday, as a matter of fact. And so we still have money in there. It's 57,000. So
Yeah.
until we'll keep using it until the plant shut down, probably.
That should be about any day now, right, Rex?
Yeah, it's getting close.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's getting pretty cold, so I'd say he's about done.
Yeah. All right. Any questions on road spends? All right. Next item is review amenities projects. So did everybody should have got these from Long Range Chairman Ken Yost?
Yes.
So I think what we need to do, we'll just go through each one. Some of these don't require a lot of management committee input. Some of them may be. So we'll go down through the list. So the tennis committee is just asking, they ask for pretty much a standard amount every year to repaint and restripe the tennis, resurface the tennis courts. They typically do that every 4 years. So they'll ask for about the $4 to $5 grand and just as a 4-year project. That way, when they do it, it's not one hit and all 1 year. So they've done that pretty much every year I've been involved in this. So any questions about that? Or I think it's pretty straightforward. I've honestly never been on the tennis court, but probably don't want me on there. Lakes committee is asking for $11,560 for an engineering study for the silt traps on Lake of Four Seasons. So we have 2 areas at the north. I can speak to this a little bit. We have 2 areas at the north end of the dock. One by North Park, in between North Park and the North Docks, where we get a significant amount of silt coming back into the lake. And then the other one is over just off of John Blankenship's property. The club actually owns a bit of a creek area that comes down into the main lake and is filling in quite a bit there. So the Lakes Committee has been wanting to get this engineering study done to help us as a club management committee kind of formulate a plan to do these silt trips to kind of keep our lake from filling in. I don't have a problem. I think that's a great project.
I think we had that last year, Jim, if I remember right, and then we kind of asked him to table that because of the incurring expense afterwards, and we pushed it to this year, kind of holding off since we didn't have the money last year to actually do any earthwork or anything. So it's good to get it back in there.
Yeah, actually execute the project. We didn't really knew we were going to have the funds. I think that needs to be on our agenda next year, is to really look at the engineering of those, where we can put those silt traps and start planning out a 1 to 2 year plan to get those done. We can't afford, we'll probably hopefully never have the opportunity to dredge the way we did in 2016. So, any chance we keep the lake from filling back in we got to take that chance, take that opportunity.
Great.
Yeah.
Also,
Go ahead.
before you go on, Jim, I want to make a comment on that. There's a possibility, depending on what the engineering study looks like, if indeed they get the money for that, that maintenance could possibly do this project. It's not a huge project. As a matter of fact, the engineering is probably going to cost more than the project itself.
That's a good thing.
But there's a possibility that maintenance could do this project, which would save us a tremendous amount if they can find time to do it.
Yeah, and hopefully that's one of the benefits of, when weather gets drier, we have the outside firm doing the chip and seal, that maybe we can coordinate them having more time to try to get this project done. It would save us a ton of money versus hiring it out.
Correct.
All right, next item, the social committee is asking for $845 to stain the steps. Can't see a problem with that. Speak now.
Nope.
Anyone? Bueller. New member committee is asking for $200 for binders and sleeves. Can't see a problem with that.
Nope.
The ORV committee, they're asking for carryover $950 that they had set aside, which was my project before, was tractor maintenance, fuel, and a skid steer rental. I think that did get approved to carry over. I mean, that's somewhat on me. It's just trying to get we got a new chairman, and he didn't have a lot of time to get anything going. But we're basically taking care of that track area down there. They are asking for $2,800 for track trail and shelter house improvements. I'm not entirely sure what makes all that up, but I think he's basically wanting to restain the shelter house, which is badly needed, and buy some additional equipment to take care of the track.
There's a
I
little
think
bit of
Charlie's doing a
concrete
great
work.
job down here. Anybody got questions about that? Just a maintenance item. Pool is asking for, it's like they're carrying over $3,100 for umbrellas, park girls landscaping. I have a problem with that. That's budget board approved. Adopting area is asking for $1,000 for beautification front gate area. That's pretty non-controversial in my opinion. They do a great job down there. Range committees asking for $3,500. Safety shooting supplies and training. I don't have a problem. Anybody got a problem with that? I think that's great projects. Health and wellness. This one could be a little more controversial, but they're basically asking for $29,000 for complete the health and wellness center, open the center. I'm all for having a fitness center here. I think it's a great idea. I just I think this committee needs to ask that group for a solid business plan before we give them another $30,000 to open up. We need to know how they're gonna staff it, how they're gonna maintain it, how they're gonna follow COVID protocol, which I know from being involved in the YMCA is pretty extensive with cleaning, distancing, mask. How do they plan on doing the maintenance? What's the security procedures? How do you get in and out of the building? So I'm curious to know what you guys' thoughts are with this health and wellness. I think as a management committee, we have a right to push back as an operational issue of how they're going to operate this thing or what they expect from the club.
No, I think as a committee, we should see their plan, both us and the Board of Trustees, because, they keep asking for things, and I understand that, but there's really no written plan that I know of.
Yeah, and I looked through the information that they sent in, and my questions were not so much around what you guys just talked about, which is are good questions, but their estimates to complete everything were 12 to 18 months old. So everything was really dated. So I don't even, you know, I kind of question the number that they had submitted. Was that going to be enough? And is it going to get it done?
Well, I will say this: when they first came to the management committee idea, we were obviously short of money. We flat told them that, you know, there is no club funds available from the management side to operate this. That it had to be completely separate of hideaway. We couldn't take on any more. We've got a small maintenance staff as it is. We can't take on more projects. Our maintenance guys are spread thin anyway, and you know, taking on another facility to maintain is not going to happen. So I think that we have a right to ask them to present an operating plan before this goes to the board. You know, absent that, I would recommend that this doesn't go through. Or, I mean, you got an opinion or?
I mean, what assurances do we have that at the end of this will even finish the project?
That was my question.
You know, so and I think that's where you're going. That's kind of where I'm feeding. One, we could be short on funds just because of this year and building costs, availability, and pricing skyrocketed. And is this going to be enough to finish it, or is it still going to be a large expenditure for cash and still not, you know, a viable amenity to us? And I think that was kind of some of our hesitation we looked at last year. Is it's a great idea. It just wasn't the right time to start it. So I definitely agree. We definitely need to look back at them and see what that long range go is. I mean, it's a high maintenance thing. I mean, somebody's got to be there several times a day and make sure it's, you know, clean and stuff's up and operating. And I don't think we can task our current staff. We sure you can't have security over there doing it.
No. You know, I know from being involved in the Y and, you know, being there every day that, you know, they have a fitness attendant there constantly. When you get off a piece of equipment, you wipe it down, and then they come over and sanitize it and mark it sanitized. And, you know, 6 feet, you got to wear a mask unless you're actually working out. So you're just wandering around, you got to wear a mask. There's strict guidelines, the mandates the state has put in place that you have to follow or they'll shut it down. So I think there's a lot of questions around this. And I'll be honest, they've come to the amenities committee for the last 3 years and asked for a significant amount of money, and everyone's kind of, you know, I think last year they got over $50,000. So I will say I can't. It's going to be. I was hoping one of you guys could come to that meeting also. When JJ and I are involved in the food service, it does kind of look, you know, we've got a little bit of conflict of interest there too. So. I guess maybe Rex, Steve, or Marty. I don't know if they're going to have this.
Give us a date. One of us will be there.
Yeah, well, just to represent the management committee and say, hey guys, have you thought about it? We need to see a business plan. We need to see how you're going to actually operate this. You know, it's a tough time to open a health and wellness center. I'll be honest, right there. A lot of them actually have shut down just because of the difficulty of opening. So. Any other comments before we move on?
No.
Well, it looks to me like they've already got 29,000 as carryover. Plus, they're asking for another 29,000, and so, you know, I mean, when we ask directly for them to produce something, they've been okay, not great, but they've been okay. It seems like they're keeping us in the dark all the time. And we don't really know what's going on, who they're scheduling to do what. And I just wonder if ACC needs to be involved with this situation also.
Well, yeah, ultimately ACC needs to approve the final, I mean, the structure or, you know, layout of the building. It's going to be you know, regardless of what committee is doing this, it's a club-owned building.
Right.
So it's definitely I think this is actually listed as, yeah, it needs ACC approval. It's listed on Ken's sheet. So there's definitely some questions we need to ask before that time. So let's move on. Golf committee is asking for $19,500 to construct a 32 by 40 metal building. I believe they are. I talked to Eric Boysko about this. They want to put it back by the existing maintenance building. But they've kind of come to this a couple times of different ideas, but basically what it is the building we have back there is not big enough to get all our equipment. So we have, a couple $100,000 worth of mowers sitting outside most of the year. And so they want to basically build another building back there to house our mowers and equipment and kind of get them out of sight, out of the rain. And I think it's a great project. I don't like seeing a $60,000 mower sitting out in the rain.
No, I agree. It's a great project. Looking at what they supplied though with that, I think their price and what they're asking for is incomplete.
It's awful low, isn't it?
Yeah, it's low. It didn't include a concrete floor. I didn't see any allotment for any electric in there for the lighting. Nothing for heat. I think it had wood siding in the quote, and yet now they want to go to metal. So there's going to be an increase there. I mean, it's a great idea, but again, I think that it just needs to be a more complete ask.
I talked to them at the beginning of this, and I'm not speaking for them at any time, but they kind of a couple of them run this past me. And I guess, when you don't see the floor, you want to start with what I understanding is, and Randy, you may chime in any time, was kind of a lean-to structure to start against what we have now with the ability to later close it in and add to it. But right now is at least trying to get a shelter so we could park the equipment out of the weather. So this was not a complete 30 by 40 or whatever the measurement addition is a closed finished building. It is just kind of a three-sided lean-to type effect, built and designed in the fact that later they can come into it, add to it, finish it, and close it in concrete and do that other work.
Was the plan there to put like a stone floor?
Yeah, I think they would just gravel the floor out so they'd have a good service there.
Yeah, Randy,
that was their initial thought.
Has Rick seen the proposed layout location?
Not that I know of. Elmer may have seen it, but I don't know if that Rick has or not.
Well, ultimately, Rick's the maintenance supervisor.
Right.
I mean, obviously, he's gonna listen to Elmer, but I think I would. Can you reach out to Eric Boysko or Tim Wable and just ask them where they want to put it, and then get Rick's opinion, just so that they're clear when they go into that meeting where it's going to be, and that Rick has approved that.
Yeah. Also, that'll have to be ran through ACC also.
Yeah, it's marked as a yes for ACC review.
Yeah.
Color and layout, but
right.
Any idea what that'll do to our insurance, Randy?
I don't. I doubt that it's going to raise it much.
Okay, now if it's more of a lean-to, probably not.
They realized the restricted funding, and they were just trying to get something started. And as we just talked about, you buy a $60,000 mower, and it's going to go outside and sit out there in all the weather.
No, I agree. They're doing the right thing for our equipment.
Yeah. And they didn't come with $80,000 ask to build a whole entire building. They thought they would start and add something to it later, which I applaud them for, starting at that level. We just got to make sure the engineering side of it is being designed and built that way so it can be added to and finished later. And that's beyond my pay grade.
Okay. Next item, Food Service Committee, we've got board approval to roll over our 18.5 for a new kitchen floor. The office is tired of it raining every time they mop the floor. We had gotten a quote for a rubberized type composite floor. Then our our vendor backed out because he was kind of scared of the project. And so we kind of looked at some composite epoxy type floors, but given Jeff Harper's extensive knowledge in food service, I'm hoping he can help us get this project moving, just because he's going to, I don't know anything about kitchen commercial flooring, but hopefully he can help us get, I'd like to get this project going in January or February, where we can get everything out of there, get that floor done, get everything back, so that when we start doing some remodeling the lodge, it's not in the way. Obviously, we're still targeting Easter to reopen the lodge. You know, it's going to depend on COVID whether that's realistic or not. You know, we can always kick it back a couple months. Pfizer, our friends at Pfizer get a vaccine out, we could not have to talk about COVID ever again in my lifetime, but by then, but maybe not. I don't know. I can't predict the future. The new item for food services is we've asked for $40,000. Seems like a lot of money, but it's not going to go very far. But what the plan is so we've got a few members that have extensive restaurant knowledge, some architects working on coming up with, I think, 3 designs, possible layouts of the lodge. You know, taking different member feedback and then their extensive knowledge of the restaurant, you know, kind of designs, and going to lay that out. And then we're working to put together a subcommittee of members, board members, management. I'm sure JJ and I will be present. That's going to try to narrow down a one design that we're going to use and try to start costing it out. So the $40,000, I will tell you, doesn't have any cost. We don't have a cost yet. We really don't even know what the design is, but we know we're going to have to go to the membership, or you know, we're going to ask for donations. You know, we're asking for this amenities money, something to make the lot more operational friendly, upgraded out of the 60s. And really, when we reopen it, not make it the burden it was before. So I would have loved to have a, you know, fully vetted out design by now, costed out, ready to roll. But, you know, it's volunteers, and I take it, we're working. That's all I got to say. Anybody got any questions about that process or?
No.
But I think the really only 2 follow-ups is just reaching back out to the Health and Wellness Committee, asking for a business plan and some type of vetted out numbers that this will actually finish it. And then Golf Committee just reaching out, I guess, Randy, you finding out from Tim and Eric where they intend to put it, and getting approval from Rick that's going to work. Rick and Elmer, have them buy in, and that way at least we go in knowing that we've got their input.
Yeah, I'll get on that.
Okay. Anybody else got anything else on this?
Nope.
How do you want to? How or who do you want to approach the Health and Wellness Committee? How do you want to do that?
Excuse me. If you could get me the contact, I'll just send it as a management committee chairman. Say this is management committee's. I'll now copy Ken on it, Ken Yost, and management committee, and just say, here's our concern. You know, we need to have an operating plan before this thing goes and gets more money and attempts to open. That there has to be some operational plans here that don't involve our maintenance guys in there cleaning this thing, and don't involve our security guys have to open and close it 50 times a day. And
Okay.
so I think it's very fair on our part to ask for an operational plan before this opens.
Okay.
What resources from the club are they really thinking they're going to get?
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on. Part-time employee, Randy.
Well, I think we talked about this before, and I think we were going to wait till Jeff got here to discuss that with him. But I mean, Penny lost pretty much a day and a half with the new computer install, which it is done now. Hopefully she won't have any more problems. The IT people were out here for a full day on last Friday. And, well, I guess it was, I'm not sure what day it was, but she lost a whole day. It was Wednesday, I think. And then she lost another half a day today and is still not ready to go. Although she's able to work now at least, but she's fallen so far behind. Christine's fallen behind. We've got registration, member registrations to do. We've got boat registrations going to be coming up the first of the year. And we really need to get somebody in here to help out.
Okay.
Because the girls are just overwhelmed.
Well, we can meet with Jeff next week, kind of start floating this idea, start talking about how many hours, pay rate, and then laying out duty. I'd like to see like what duties Penny would like to have this person do. And then we can decide if we want to advertise or just kind of use some resources in the club. We have some club members that may be willing to come on and work part-time to pay, and, you know, depending how long that's going to be. We've got some different options.
Well, yeah, okay. All right.
I mean, we haven't decided if this is a permanent position or this is a short-term transitional position either.
All right.
Anybody else got any comments on that?
Nope.
This next item, the depredation permit, that's our geese and buzzard permit. I haven't sent that in yet. I've got till the end of January to do that, but I will get it to them here shortly. I just wanted to know if you wanted to keep the same shooters. Jim, you were on that. Dwayne is on that, and the other guy, Todd, I don't even know him.
I don't know him either, but Dwayne does and said he's a pretty good guy. He is, I think, more available during the day.
Okay.
I'll be honest, I didn't spend a ton of time out last year, but the issue is you know, you've got to, whether you're shooting geese or buzzards, you got to do so. The best time is during the week, during the day when it's not many people around.
Right.
That's what Todd was attractive because he's here during the day and was going to be available. So I would take Dwayne's recommendation of Todd, and I think
somebody mentioned adding Jim Hiles. So yeah, what happens when I turn this in? I'm going to have to turn in the shooter names.
Yeah, so I would go with my personal opinion. You go with keep myself on it. Todd, Dwayne, and Jim Hiles.
Okay.
If somebody's got any other opinions, Steve, do you know Todd Barnett?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good guy. Good guy.
Good guy. Yeah, I think.
No problem.
I've never met him. Dwayne said he's very trustworthy. Jim Hiles is very, you know, been senior range officer for years, so I think he'll do well.
Just for everybody's information, I saw him over at the pool the other day, one day last week, and there were 20 or at least 20 of them in the baby pool.
Buzzards or
buzzards, yeah.
Jeez.
And then another 15 or 20 roosting on the roof, and it really stunk over there. I drove up, honked my horn. 2 of them flew. I ended up going into the pool area, clapping my hands, finally chased them out. So I told security, keep an eye on them. And since then we haven't seen them, haven't seen them back, but they probably will be. And so we need to be able to move on that project.
Yeah. Let's say we miss Paul Heimberger.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Yeah.
More than just that also. Okay, that's sort of all I needed on that.
Okay. Few gutters for the back of Lodge.
Yeah, we've been repairing these gutters on the back of the lodge to keep it from dripping down and freezing on the way to the office for some time. The issue is the gutters are placed properly. The problem is the roof is sagging. So basically what happens is you start with the gutters high in the center and you go down on the end so that the water flows to each end. Well, the problem is the roof is sagging so much that now the gutters are lower in the center than they are in the end. And I'm not sure if there's a way to prevent that or not. And the water's running behind, then dripping down onto the deck and down on the concrete here outside of the great room. So what I'd like to do is Kevin Fleeman, that's his business. I'd like to give him a call, have him come take a look and see if there's anything he can do to help us with that, if that's okay with you folks.
Yeah, I do think we ought to get at least two quotes that two people
Okay.
look at and give us a price estimate to fix it.
Okay.
Anybody disagree with that? Or
No.
I think Kevin would do a great job. I just think we always should try to get two quotes and everything.
I will do that.
All right, lights on Lake of Four Season Dam.
All right. I think it's the first light. It has water in it, so it's leaking, it's unsealed, it's still working. But Gordon Vink, we bought those lights off of his company, or the company he works for, actually, and they have agreed to replace that fixture at no cost. His question, and that's going to happen. His question is, they are going to do away with those lights and want to know if we wanted any additional ones before they do away with that model of lights. So that's kind of a question for this committee, whether or not, because there's lights all the way down except to FDOC. There's no lights down at FDOC, and whether or not we wanted an additional set of lights down there or not.
First, how much are they?
I'd have to look. I'm not sure.
I mean, I would. They're going to go out. Those are getting discontinued. I wouldn't mind buying two for replacements, so we don't have an odd one for a while. How much is it going to cost to run electric and lighting down to FDOC?
Well, that's minimal. It's just a trenching and running a wire. That's pretty minimal right there.
But the lighting would be. You're probably looking at $1,000 saying you run.
Yeah,
set a
probably.
pole and run the power.
Yeah.
Well, can you find out what they cost? But
Yep.
What's everyone else's thoughts? I mean, I would. We
No, I
bought a
think we
special light because they look nice, but I'd hate those to go out of stock and we have to start putting up odd shaped ones for a while.
Right.
It's good to have some spares. And even a light down at the FDOC too.
Yeah.
I don't know why we didn't do that when we did the original set.
Well, we didn't plan on having that FDOC down there. That's a new dock.
Yeah.
I mean, we had North Dock down there temporarily when we were dredging up at the north end, but we hadn't planned on keeping it down there. So that's the reason it wasn't planned for that.
Gotcha.
I'd say it'd be a good use of some money. Need both to light the dock and a couple spares in case.
Yeah, I definitely think we need to get something down at FDOC. I didn't realize we didn't have lighting down there.
Right.
Randy, did Gordon seem to think there was some improvement they could do to the light? Because I know last year we had one or two of them filled up with water tubes. I remember, I think, calling you or talking to somebody about it. I'm just wondering, if there's an O-ring or a seat in there, again, back to Rick and his crew, that are the masters of taking care of things like that. Maybe an extra bead of silicone around something or something might be worthwhile if we do the work ourselves, especially.
Yeah.
Maybe ask him to look at it.
Yeah. One of the problems is we can't get up there. They're too tall. And so we'll have to bring in a lift in order to get up there.
can we rent a scissor lift or
Yeah, we can do that.
boom lift? Probably a
Yeah,
boom lift would be better.
Yeah, we could do
You
that.
can rent. We can just rent one of them from Taylor pretty cheap. I'll deliver
Yeah.
and run it.
Yeah.
Run it
Yeah.
right down. It'd be a
Okay.
lot better than when we put them up because you didn't have that cement path there before.
Right.
All right. Any other question? Anything else? Discussion on Lake Four Seasons?
No.
Lighting? All right. All right, Randy, cyber risk insurance. It's kind of repeated my day today at work with talking about cyber insurance. So before I let Randy talk, I will say this is becoming more and more prevalent, and pretty much everyone is getting some type of coverage. What this covers largely, and I've dealt with this at multiple companies, when you think about it, we're taking ACH payments. We house a lot of member data in our database. We house, we always have our customer information, which is our members' information. Knock on wood, we haven't had a problem, but that doesn't mean we never will. Cyber risk insurance basically covers you in the event that we have a breach, and we have to protect our membership and pay for remediation. There's a whole process around this, so the risk is real, and we can't pretend it's not ever going to hit us. So, Randy, what do you have to present on that?
Okay, well, we do have in our policy, our existing policy, we do have a data defender and a network defender. So we do have that in our existing policy. However, the limit, the highest limit is 50,000 for on the data defender. There's several different coverages there. I think I sent that stuff to y'all. And then the network defender, it's up to it's 100,000 for computer attack limit. This additional, which is actually only another $3,000, it is better. But I guess the question is whether or not you think we need it or not.
So my guess is data defender basically. So if we got breached and they got into our database and tore it all up, and we'd probably go in and help recover that data. But what the bigger legal risk is that you have huge notification responsibilities under state law.
Right.
That basically say you have to go out and notify John Jeffers and Joel Jeffers and say, hey, your information got breached. Here's what happened. Here's how we corrected it. But your information may have gotten leaked out to, the black web, and we're going to pay for, 12 months of LifeLock coverage to help you out. And that can add up to, you don't think our club's big. That could add up to several $100,000 pretty quickly.
Yeah, our identity recovery limit is only 25,000.
My personal opinion is that's not enough.
Yeah.
When we originally looked at this, Randy, and talked with the agent, the board's concern is that we need to beef up our cybersecurity insurance. We're going to have a lot more activity with internet. We'll have a portal that will be used more frequently, and it opens up the risk of more liability. So the board does support that.
Yeah, if we go to a member portal where you can make your own payments, that definitely amps up our risk too. It's kind of an unfortunate aspect of doing business in this generation, but it is part of it.
It's a sound expense if we can protect all our members. I mean, this is where we're at today. I don't see where this is. Yeah, I don't see how we can argue this out unless, again, what are the amounts on that, Randy? I guess, are they considerably more? I have no idea. Jim, you probably got a better handle on it, but what's $500,000 or $1 million? What are we looking at on this, Randy? I did not have time to look at that today. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, it goes up to payment card costs a million, media a million, regulatory proceedings a million, privacy breach notifications a million, computer legal experts a million. So it's quite a bit,
Way above what we have.
quite a bit more for just an additional $3,000.
Yeah, they basically base it on your number of transactions. We don't take, we're not taking credit cards over. Now, if we start taking like credit cards over the net for payment processing, that would definitely, it's going to start upping the premiums quite a bit. But $3,000 for that level of coverage, I think is great for the club. My opinion is we go with it, but I'll let you guys make a motion.
Well, it's like accident insurance. You only need one instance where it'll just, chop your legs out from under you.
Yeah. What about you,
I'm
Marty?
for it. I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
You guys good?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Marty? All right, passes. Let's get that in place, Randy.
Okay, we'll do. And they did our renewal was the 15th of November. They said they would bounce that back to include that date, so that was a good thing. The other thing here was we have $1 million in D&O and EPLI limits to add an additional $1 million to make it $2 million. It would be a cost of $7,629. When we talked to the agent, he thought we should steer away from that at this time. He said there's a lot of people that are filing because of this COVID thing and not being able to go back to work or supposed to go back to work and they can't. He suggested we wait till next year if we really want to increase that.
Gotcha. So what do we have right now for D&O?
It's $1 million.
What, we have $1 million?
Yeah.
And so if you guys aren't familiar with D&O, it's directors and officers. It basically covers us and the board and
ACC.
Yeah, an ACC. So this
also covers employees.
Oh, it also covers employees.
Yeah.
$1 million aggregate.
Right.
Not occurrence, but aggregate.
Right.
I will say, I know I can't mention anything specific, but we did have an instance where in a lawsuit, the GM and president, and I believe vice president were named in a suit, which ultimately got dismissed, but that's what that coverage is for. I met with our insurance agent today. There's not been a lot of COVID claims, but there could be, but that market may get better next year. So I don't know. EPLI is employee practices liability insurance. And so what that covers is this, one of our employees is a supervisor, harasses another employee and we get sued. It covers your employer or we get sued by an employee because of something management committee did or GM does or food service manager, or it kind of covers you in that aspect. Covers us, so if we get a harassment claim or I think an EEOC claim would be covered too, but basically it covers you in the instance where one of our employees does something that causes us to get sued. Linda, you want to, does that cover EPLI?
Yeah, it's employment practices. And I think there was concern from the board originally that our current policy may be too low because it's aggregate. But considering where we are now, at least according to our agent in terms of cost, I think we could probably hold until next year. But yeah, you're right. That's what it stands for.
Yeah, we're trying to get a plan in place at work. I mean, it can cover a variety of things. So, guard comes to Randy and says, I'm being harassed, and you don't follow up on it, and we get sued. It can cover a variety of instances where your employment practices, or you don't have a harassment policy and stuff like that. But I think it is something we should look for in the future. So pricing's a little better.
Does this also include bonding of management and trustees and?
No, that's typically separate. That's a what do you call that? I mean, it's not ERISA, but it's basically like employee theft and stuff like that. It gets covered under a different. We have that, don't we, Randy?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called right now. Just went over that policy today. Yeah, it basically covers employee theft, employee dishonest acts, stuff like that. I know you want to say anything more about insurance?
No, I think your plan's good.
Nothing?
Good.
I have one thing to add. I didn't add to the thing. Jeff Harper starts on Monday. Monday's a statewide hunting holiday, so I'll be hunting at least in the morning and evening. I'm hoping to meet with him part of the day. Randy obviously will rely on the office staff to get him settled into his office onto the computer. What I plan on doing is putting together kind of an onboarding plan and circulating that, kind of laying out his kind of first week here, with a little bit of structure plus some time for him to kind of digest things. A little bit of structure around meeting employees, spending some time with Randy, spending some time with myself. So anybody, if you guys have any suggestions on that, I'll try to circulate it out. I'm sure he's going to want some time just to get out and kind of visualize what's going on. I also need to lay out for him, like, okay, here's your December. Here's you got an amenities meeting on this date. You got a management meeting on this date. You got a board meeting on this date, a management meeting on this date. This is try to help him lay out his December schedule so he kind of doesn't kind of feel lost when he gets here. So I'm hoping to get that. Hopefully, I get that together tomorrow or Friday or Thursday. So I'm not going anywhere, and get that out to everyone. Have you guys think about it? Anyone wanting to meet with him, just talk, for half hour. I'm fine with any of the management committee or any board members that want to just talk to him and just let him know what their priorities are, or whatever you want to do. But I do want to give him some time though to kind of take a breath here and there, but so there'll be some of that in there. JJ?
Can you give him a copy of last year's budget just so he can review that? Start thinking about that. I mean, it's just something that I think is important, just not right this second, but we're going to come up for the new budget. So
yeah, definitely. He's coming in trying to obviously help him. We'll work on that budget together, but he's coming in with no knowledge of anything, trying to help us get together a budget to put in front of the board.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody else got anything? I know Randy had something for executive session, but anybody else have anything for the public discussions?
Did we get our clubhouse generator running? What was wrong with it, Randy?
Yeah, it's running.
Well, the important thing is it didn't run when we needed it.
I know. Well, I'm not really satisfied with the response. We didn't have a emergency contact number for Scott Lines. And Rick was on vacation. So Kelly, who's pretty good, he went down there. He switched out the battery, tested the old, which was only 6 months old, and put a new battery in and was able to get it started, not really knowing what he was doing. So I called Scott Lines and told him what the situation was. He said he'd be in the hills the next day. So I got him and Kelly together, but I didn't really get a good feel that our problem was solved because we don't know for sure if it's going to start when it needs to start the next time. Now, it does test itself. That's been happening pretty regularly or regularly. But in the situation where the power went off and we needed it, it didn't work. And I'm not overly enthused with the answer that we got, thinking it was just a battery, because the battery is on a constant trickle charger. It did test okay, but then you have the fact that the generator didn't start when we needed it. So I just not real crazy about, and I talked to him about that. I said, and he said, well, first of all, he said he'd send a technician down. He didn't do that. He came down. And so when I questioned him about that, he said he couldn't find anything wrong with it.
Other than it didn't run.
Other than it was running when he got here. Or we got it running. And so I asked him to get with Rick and go over procedures. Of course, Rick wasn't here, and so he talked to Kelly about it. But I wasn't real comfortable with his response.
Well, to me, it sounds like if the battery tests okay, then it's the charger's not working right or set up right, and it's not. Just didn't have enough power to start it. But,
well, I mean, that's possible. Yeah, that's possible. I mean, but when Kelly took that battery down and tested it, it tested fine. So I'm not sure.
Well, I think we ought to call him back out here and say, we're not happy with the service. We want this thing to start every time. I mean, that's what you buy a generator for.
Right. And that we paid all that money.
Spent $30,000 on a generator. It needs to work. It's designed to save our food and our operations. All right. So can you follow up with him again and see if he'll come out and meet Rick?
Yeah, I will do that.
Kind of same time frame, just something I think, and I know we talked about it when I first come on, and I really think we need to get, with trustees or whatever, but I think we need to get some sort of an emergency plan put together. I know we've had talks about this again. That same day we had plenty of trees down and lines down. I actually got involved for a little bit, helped maintenance, or before maintenance was able to get here, to get some roadways opened and worked with maintenance. But we're sending one guy out here, after a stormy condition with power lines and things. And, I would rather see, from the safety side of it, having at least two people there. I let security know, at the very least, give me a call. We can talk about it, volunteer our time anyways. But I told them, in lieu of one guy going out on a road someplace, have something go wrong or, get hit by a tree or something and nobody with them. I just would like to see us come up with some kind of plan there, because, they're out here busting their butts for us at the worst time we could have had here. And, it just was an unsafe thing. And I ended up following around for a little bit just so we had somebody with them till, like I say, the maintenance guys got here. I think it's something we need to look at, because God knows our trees fall down an awful lot.
Yes.
Security's instructions on that is, and we're sort of leaving it up to them. If it's something that they can handle, do so. At least clear one lane so EMS can get in and out if necessary. If it's absolutely out of their range of comfortability, then call maintenance in right away. But Steve, I don't disagree with you at all. We do need some kind of a plan where we can call a member to help out, because when you're using a chainsaw, anything can happen. Yeah. So I don't disagree with you at all, but they have been instructed that if they don't feel comfortable, that they need to call maintenance.
Yeah, and they did. It was just a time frame with power outages and phone lines and everybody down. It was, getting through to people to get them in.
Right.
And in that meantime, somebody else being with them. And like I say, I told him, I talked to Roger, and I forget the young man's name. that I was actually out with. I told him, I said, call when this happens. I said, you can start with Jim. Jim says no, call me. You know, go through our list and call us. If nothing else, we can go and help them, be another set of eyes and say, hey, you're about to do something stupid. Let's not do that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. Anybody else got anything?
Nope, good.
All right, then. That's the end of the regular scheduled meeting.